Hello, Corona Days Professional Development Group. It is me, Danette Edwards. I know it's been forever since I've been live. I'm a little rusty. It's been over a year. I don't even have my other screen up so that I can see what's going on. But I'm out here and I hope that some of you are with us. Let me just log on to the group really quickly and see who's out here. I know some of you guys are out there. I see some people are on, but I'm on StreamYard and I can't see everything. All right, so this is our first time having any type of a presentation in over a year and a half. And this evening we have Melanie Denny. And I'm not going to go into a long introduction of Melanie. You know that Melanie is an amazing resume writer, award-winning resume writer. She also has the Society of Elite Resume Writers, where she teaches others not just how to write resumes, but actually the business of resume writing, how to grow their business. And tonight, I asked her to come on and talk about not how to write a resume, because we have plenty of presentations about writing resumes. I've asked her to come on so that she can talk to us about the formatting, giving us some formatting tips and tricks for the modern resume. So, okay, you have, you got your PAR statements in there. You got your situation, your action, and your result. You got all of that, but now we want it to look like something someone wants to read. And so I'm going to go ahead and add Miss Denny to this broadcast. So again, this is not going to tell you what to write. It's going to tell you how to enhance it. We have multiple presentations that will help you with how to enhance how to write the resume. Okay. This is money stuff. Okay. I paid for this presentation so that you guys don't have to pay for this. Okay. So that you can go ahead and do this yourself. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to add Miss Denny. Hey Mel, how you doing?
Hey, 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 what's going on? It's been a while.
Oh, thank you, LinkedIn. I don't even know who you are, but thank you. I'm going to log into LinkedIn and I'm going to be able to see who you are. Y'all know I'm rusty. I forgot. I forgot I'm supposed to have all my screens up. But yeah, Mel, I'm so happy to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Actually, the other day, I got a notification memories of your pictures when you were here in Maryland and I met you and your family.
Oh,
Yeah, that came up in my Facebook, but I didn't share them because I was quite fluffy back then and I'm not
oh.
fluffy now. So I didn't share that. But yes, so I'm going to turn it over to you. You ready?
Okay, awesome. Yes, I'm gonna
I'm
go
gonna
ahead and
remove
share my
myself. And
screen.
guys, remember, please drop questions in the chat. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get all the questions going. But drop questions and get your pen and paper out. Of course, you can catch this on a replay, but get your pen and paper out. And while you have her here, drop questions because I could barely afford her. She gave me a little bit of a discount, and I'm so
Hello.
grateful for that. This is stuff that people pay. When she was writing resumes, she had packages, 4-figure packages. Okay.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
please get your money out of this. I've been looking forward to this since it was announced. Okay, I'm gonna find out who that was. All right, Mel, I'm going.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just gonna share because I do have a presentation. Okay, Ned, let me know. Can you see?
So I know I like you can't see. I hate that this you can't see with the stream yard, but yeah, I put it up there and you should be able to maneuver it. I don't have to maneuver it. It'll just let you
Okay,
maneuver it.
but you can see, right?
I can see it. You're up there and your presentation is up there now.
Okay, perfect.
All right, cool,
All
cool,
right.
cool. Let me
Am
remove
I
myself.
still here? Like my face is still there?
You're still there.
Okay.
You
Okay.
want to be, I don't think I can remove you and hear you, and then people hear you. Yeah, it's not like Zoom, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, or it might be, but I don't know. I'm so glad that you guys are always patient with me. You see, my IT skills have not improved over the past year and a half. Okay. I
Awesome.
see
Okay.
somebody got jokes. All right, let me go on LinkedIn and see who that is. All right, here y'all go. Y'all, Miss Jenny, take it away.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So we're here to talk today about how to design eye-catching resumes. We're going to talk a lot about formatting tips and tricks for a modern resume, right? So, like Danette already said, this is not going to be about writing. There's going to be nothing about content. It's all about design. All right. So let's dive in because we have a lot to cover. And then at the end, I want to kind of walk through a Word doc and design it so you can see stuff in action outside of the presentation. All right, so a little bit about me. I've been a certified resume writer since 2009. I am the president of Resume Evolution, which is a resume writing firm. Most recently, I have rebranded and made it a personal branding consultant firm. And so, definitely a lot about how to really present your brand, articulate your uniqueness across the board. So it's not just resumes, it's all about LinkedIn profiles and having an online presence and really job searching in the modern way. Um, I've been writing resumes, like I said, since well, I've been certified since 2009. I was writing resumes about a year before that. And so in 2019, I entered the Tory Award. So Tory, it stands for Toast of Resume Industry. And this is like the Grammys or the Emmys of the resume writing world. A lot of people don't even know what it is. They've never heard of it, but it's a really, really big in our world. And this is where like the top resume writers compete to write resumes that are cutting edge, modern, slick design, and very, very high quality content. And so in 2019, I finally got the courage to enter for the first time and I won third place. So I was super excited about that. And I said, you know what? I got this. So I entered again in 2020 and I got first place. 2021, I entered again. I got nominated for two, didn't place, but I still got two nominations. And so I'm very proud of this because I feel like this is something you kind of strive for in our industry in terms of just being able to show off your skills and your expertise. I'm also an industry leader, as Danette mentioned. I do have a whole organization of resume writers, career coaches who are looking to get better at writing resumes and serving their clients at a higher level and really building the business as well. I've been quoted in several books in our industry. I've been quoted my work has been featured in several books, cover letter books, resume writing books, about I think 5 books now. And I've been quoted and featured all over the media, HuffPost, Forbes, um, a bunch, a lot of other ones. And so I also presented at industry conferences like career thought leaders on how to, helping other career coaches and resume writers to coach their clients on um, salary negotiations, which I've also done a presentation for Danette on that topic as well. One of my favorites. I've spoken at um, professional associations of resume writers and career coaches on this topic of resume design as well. So I kind of know what I'm talking about, guys. So we're going to dive into the content. And I have a presentation kind of going through a lot of the elements. But then at the end, like I mentioned, I do want to walk through a Word file together to actually put some of the things that we're going to talk about into action. All right. So you're going to learn how to really draw the reader in and allow all the good stuff to shine, right? Design is not just about looking pretty. There's also, a strategy behind it and a purpose behind it. And we'll talk about that. You're going to learn how to manipulate your margins or your line spacing to create white space. We're going to make sure we're constructing a skimmable document that's inviting to read. We're going to talk about color, how to use that tastefully and professionally without overdoing it. We're going to talk about graphics, icons, graphs, text boxes, lines, and all of those things. Okay, so hopefully, I don't necessarily expect you to pick up on everything and do all the things because I do this at a pretty high level. So I don't expect you to walk away knowing how to design, an advanced Tory level type of document. But I do feel like you should be able to take away a few things here and there to really elevate your current resume. All right. Content is king. So, above all of this, guys, honestly, I wouldn't put a whole lot of emphasis and effort on the design per se. Content is your number one priority. Your content needs to be top notch. It is king. It is always going to be king because at the end of the day, it can look as beautiful and fancy as ever. But when it's being read, if it doesn't translate, it's just as good as a dud, right? So you definitely want to make sure content is king. So if that's the case, then Mel, why are we here? Why are we even talking about this? Why bother with the design if it's all about the content? Well, you also want to create excitement, right? So when you think about a resume, if you just Google resumes, when you look at Google, all comes up is and click images, for example, all that comes up are just a bunch of Word docs, black and white text. They all kind of look the same, boring, dry documents. And so when you add a splash of color and bring it to life, it kind of creates a sense of excitement for the person reading it. Just imagine being a recruiter kind of skimming through resumes all day long. They're all black and white, they're all mundane, they all sound the same, and then you come across something beautiful. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, what is this? Right? It's gonna um kind of perk up the audience to kind of build excitement and intrigue. Like, oh, okay, let me take a second look at this, right? You definitely want it to be easy on the eyes. So you want to design something that's not just boring and black and white and mundane. That kind of gets hard on the eyes. You want the eyes to get delighted, right? And make it easy on the eyes and make it something inviting that people kind of want to get into, right? You know how they say never judge a book by its cover? We all do it. And the resume is pretty much the cover. So when you first look at anything, a book, a house, a movie trailer, whatever, there's an initial the initial sense of what it's going to be. And that is the part that the design brings to the table. It's just like very quick judgment call. So if a resume looks the same as all the 90 other resumes, you're not going to get excited. You're going to draw a conclusion like this is probably going to sound the same. This is like, right? But if it looks different, you're like, okay, this person put some thought and energy into this. This looks really professional and really polished. And you're going to form a perception of that candidate or that person. Okay, so that's why we want to put a little effort into the design. Another reason is content flow. And so there's some things that I'm going to talk about as it relates to strategy behind how you lay things out, how what approaches you may want to take to emphasize something with the use of design that will help the reader to kind of flow through the information on the page. And so content flow is another kind of strategy that we use in resume writing to help organize the information as well. So we'll use the use of different elements to organize information. So, okay, all of this over here in this type of font or color or scheme or whatever is outlining these things. And everything over here that kind of looks like this are all the headings, right? So it's also a way to organize information so the reader can kind of easily identify where things are on the page as well. So those are a couple of the reasons why we definitely want to put a little bit of, emphasis on your design, but content is still king. It has to read well, has to be strong, it has to have keywords, and we're not going to get into any of that because, like Danette said, there are tons of other information out there about how to write a strong resume. This is going to be all about design today. Now, what about the ATS? I already know this is going to be a big thing. ATS is a huge topic in resume writing because, if you have any sense of the resume writing world or job searching process, you know that these companies are using technology to parse resumes, to organize candidate information, etc. I do want to take this time to put out a full disclaimer that some of these elements that we're talking about may get lost in translation if you're using it to apply online. Okay. What is safe for sure? Colors. Okay. Colors are going to be fine. If the font is a different color, that's not going to break anything. And different fonts are fine. I think your regular fonts, if you come in with some crazy fonts that may be tricky, but in general, um a lot of the things that a lot of people are talking about as it relates to ATS and what will break the system is pretty old. Okay. ATS, along with a lot of other technologies, have advanced throughout time, and some of the information out there is dated. Okay. A good rule of thumb, okay? A good rule of thumb, if you have some stuff and things going on in your document that's fancy, save your Word doc as a plain text file, a .txt, and whatever information is there, however it's laid out, that's kind of a good indication of how the system is going to process that information. Okay. Things that are going to definitely get lost or get, messed up or look janky or crazy. Images, charts, graphs, shapes, word art, columns, headers, footers, some lines, and smart art. So a lot of systems, most systems aren't able to read properly this information. So an image, for example, in a modern ATS is going to get skipped over completely. So what you don't want to do is put important, pertinent information in your resume as an image, right? Because the system is likely not going to read it, and if it's just going to kind of disappear and spit it out. Columns are tricky because a lot of these systems are looking to read the document left to right across the page. So sometimes if the columns are weird, it's not going to recognize that you stopped in the middle of the page, and it needs to now read that column. That makes sense. So you want to be careful with columns because the system is probably going to try to read everything across the page and then put the information under the wrong kind of section, if that makes sense. Headers and footers, again, kind of weird. It's gonna spit it out and put it somewhere it probably doesn't belong. Lines are also considered like images, so it's probably just gonna omit those. Same with charts and graphs. Charts and graphs, you want to put them in as images if you are gonna do it, because it's probably just going to spit it out and eliminate it. But if you put in a chart that's live, it could try to read the information in the chart, like the numbers and things, and put it in with the rest of the text. So it could get real funky. We can go on and on and on about ATS. But I just wanted to at least touch on it because I know a lot of people are very kind of terrified of ATS. There's so much information, like you have to have a bland black and white document to get past the ATS. Simply not true. I write very, very colorful. You'll see in a minute the type of resumes that I write, and my clients see tons of success. So yeah, ATS could be a whole, you know, a whole presentation on its own, but I definitely wanted to touch on that, so that you're aware of some of the risks involved. Will the resume break the system? No. The problem is that this ATS system probably can't read it properly, and information gets put in the wrong places, and therefore it gets kind of scored low. But keep in mind, most ATS systems, the recruiter can always pull the actual resume, pull it up. So it's not as scary as it's made out to be, guys. Again, you just kind of have to know the main rules. And again, a lot of my client, like all my clients, they get jobs. So yeah, let's get into it. Now, what you want to do is let the visuals emphasize the value. Okay, this is not just, oh, make it pretty just for no reason because we like, flowers and candy and frills. Like, this is not what this is. This is strategy. This is being strategic with how you want the information to come across, right, to a real reader. And so you want to make sure that the most compelling information is above the fold. So this phrase above the fold is an old phrase when you used to have newspapers. If anyone remembers newspapers, excuse me, I think, I don't know, do people still have newspapers? I don't know. But when newspapers were big, um, they were pretty, they're big papers. They're huge. And so they would fold it in half and then fold it again. And so when you pick up a paper, it would be folded in half. So when you pick up the paper, you only see everything above the fold. So everything under the fold is kind of hidden in the back. So the things above the fold are going to be the most biggest headlines. And you want to think the same way with your resume. Everything. So when you open a resume on a computer or whatnot, think without scrolling. So instead of above the fold, because you're not really folding anything, think scroll, right? Before the scroll. That's a new one. I should trademark that. But before the scroll, you want it to give the most compelling information. You want it to hit the reader hard with value. When I say pass the 6-second test, that means a recruiter typically takes about 6-7 seconds to determine, oh, this is interesting or no, right? Doesn't take long at all. So before they're able, needing to scroll, they need to see exactly what they're looking for right away. Okay. Um, so keep that in mind as well when you're writing and where you're putting information. You always want to make sure that the most important, compelling information is right there before the scroll. So if they have to scroll to see something good, you kind of missed the mark. Okay. Isolate vital information. So basically, you want to start with the wow. Always want to start with the wow factor. What do I mean by that? So, if you have done any type of work around figuring out what your uniqueness is, figuring out what your brand is, figuring out what makes you stand out, that information needs to be, again, right there, easy to see. And so you can use design to isolate that information so that the reader cannot miss it. Okay. The next thing you want to do is guide the reader's eye. So I should have, there's a graphic I saw on, I think Instagram or somewhere, I don't know. But it was a big, bold title in the middle, right? So it said, you're going to read this first. It was big. And then under that, it says, you're going to read this second. And it was like medium size. And at the top, it was little and said, you're going to read this last, right? So knowing kind of just that very general rule about how the eyes are drawn on a page or on a piece of paper or a graphic or a resume, the biggest thing is going to be first, the second biggest thing is going to be second, and then the tiniest thing is going to be third. So what do you want the reader to see first, second, and third? You have the opportunity to guide the reader's eyes by telling your story in the order in which you want it to come across. These are kind of advanced things that I'm talking about because, again, like I said, I kind of do this at a high level. And so, again, I don't expect you to really master this, but I just want you to start to think about your resume more of a marketing document than just, I'm going to put a bunch of words on a page and send it on. You still have to, even though ATS is very important, you still have to impress the reader. A real person is still going to end up reading this. And so some of these elements are going to be important for people. So I'm going to be going through everything that we're going to be talking about is me using Microsoft 365. I have a Mac version 16.64. Every single thing, every resume, every element, I'm using Word. I'm not using anything advanced. I'm not using Photoshop. I'm not using Adobe. I'm not using Canva. I'm not using any of those things. I'm using good old Word. Okay. Everything you see here can be done in Word. All right. The first one on the left is a resume for a CEO. Definitely not going to be ATS friendly. Okay. The 3 boxes going across. ATS doesn't have a clue what to do with that. There are tips and there's little tricks that you could use to make it work, but I'm not going to expect the people listening today to really grasp that. I'm not going to go that deep into tricks and putting text behind graphics and all those things, even though it's very much, can be done. But I just wanted to show you what can what you can accomplish in Word. Okay, so all of this is in Word. The one on the right, with the red, is Word. It's a lot more basic, but there's still some cute design elements in here without doing anything crazy that's gonna mess the ATS up. Okay, we're gonna talk about some of these elements. A couple of other examples. This one on the left is the one I won first place for the Tory in 2020. And so it looks like a lot going on, but when you break this down, it's really a very simple thing in terms of the design of it. It just comes out looking really nice, but there's not a whole lot going on here. Definitely ATS friendly. Okay. Um, the green, again, all of this is done in Word, just two graphics, one in the upper right, one in the corner at the bottom. Those two graphics probably going to get spit out by ATS, but there's nothing in those graphics that is not in the actual body of the resume. Okay, so that's that. Pretty quite simple, actually. Not a whole lot to this, but it's very clean, very nice, easy on the eye, refreshing, modern look. Here's another one. Now this one is definitely more advanced. This one on the left, I believe, got nominated 2021, but didn't place. But you know, it looks like a lot going on. There's a couple graphics here, some what do you call those? I forget the name of it, but these little things are in Word. You can make those in Word as well. Some borders, some shading can be done in Word. On the right with the blue, all in Word. This is pretty easy. Like, there's nothing crazy about this besides the graphic. There's only a graphic at the top, a little graphic at the bottom. It's not going to break any ATS system. Um, this one on the left is the IT. This took a lot for me to create. To be honest, it's a lot more advanced, but again, all done in Word. The only thing is, like, some of these graphics I do pull from the internet or Canva or something. I pull it into Word. So this graphic, you're not gonna find this graphic in Word, but you pull it and then you do what you need to do with it in Word. This one on the purple one is the one that I entered for Tori for the first time, and I placed third place. So excited for that. And so this again is not very ATS friendly. Because keep in mind, another thing I want to make sure that you realize is the Tori Awards does not they do not need to be ATS friendly. The idea is that resumes now, we tend to talk about networking and the hidden job market and things like that. So for me, I really also don't heavily teach my clients about applying online as much as sending out resumes to real people, finding people, not jobs. And so this one's not going to be very ATS friendly. This right here, fail for ATS. But I just wanted to throw this all out here just to give you ideas and thoughts and just kind of open your mind about what your resume could potentially look like. Color. So when you're picking color, you don't want to just pick a random color just because you love this color. You could, and that could be like a representation of your personality, but there is psychology behind color. So the yellow orangey at the top is more evoking optimism, warmth, clarity. So look at the brands that kind of picked yellow, right? Um, Warmth. Look at McDonald's. It's kind of tailored towards kids, right? So that kind of makes sense. Friendly, orange, you know what I mean? So there's some of the brands that pick orange. Red, excitement, bold, youthful. Okay. Um, the purple, more creative, wise, and imaginative. Blue. So blue tends to be the standard color for resumes. If you had to just pick a color, I would definitely always go with blue just because it's that corporate color, trust, dependable. Um, And so blue is typically going to be a good go-to color. Green, peaceful growth, health. So, if you're in an industry related to health, I remember I did a horticulture resume and I used green as the accent color, things like that. And then the grays and the new, like the more, whites, grays are going to be balanced, calm, and neutral. Okay. And then if you see out here, diversity represents like all the colors. So you can kind of see where they're going with that. I would not recommend doing that on a resume. It's just way too much going on. You also want to keep in mind too your industry and how kind of strict they are or the perception. Because so for example, someone in the finance industry did her resume and it was all navy blues, but she was like, "Oh, this is too much. I need to no make everything black." Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, "You sure?" Because it's kind of whack. But she was adamant because she just felt like her industry was not going to kind of approve or welcome the colors. Um, the other thing I want to point out too is that the world of work is changing and millennials are starting to take over all these recruiting type jobs, and we like colors, we like pop, we like excitement, we want to see modern fresh things. We Black and white is just like man, but if someone comes with something thoughtful and nice and clean and modern, we're interested. And so we don't necessarily, and I'm talking in generals. There is some stats around this. I should have included it in here, but um recruiters are a lot of recruiters are fine with a splash of color. So there you go. And I got this graphic from helpscout.com. All right, let's go into some of the specifics. White space. You see how this looks? It looks very clean, very stark. You know, white space gives a modern look. That's just the way in which the world is kind of moving as it relates to, luxury and just cleanliness, white space. So you want to make sure you have a nice balance of white space on the page. You don't want it to be too much white space because it's going to look like something's missing, but if the white space is very little, it's going to look crammed, like it's way too much going on, hard on the eyes, hard to read. So there's a nice balance that we have to strive for. In order to make white space, you can adjust your margins, right? So the higher your margins, the more white space. So if your margins are let's say a 1 inch all the way around, that means you're giving yourself 1 inch all the way around. So there's going to be more space than half inch. You say half inch, then the words are going to go closer to the edge. So if you're feeling like it looks too cramped, play with the margins to create more white space. That's an easy way to kind of start playing around. Um, this is something else you can use to adjust content overflow. So if you're feeling like I need all of this on 1 page, or I'm in 3 pages, I need this back up to 2 pages, play with the margins to kind of manage that. For me, I like point 0.7 left and right and point 0.5 top and bottom. Point 0.8 all around is a nice kind of, good number for a decent amount of white space. But you can play. You can play with it. See how it looks, see if it looks too crammed, and just kind of decide how you want to go about dealing with that. Another thing you do to kind of make white space is to make sure that your spacing in between sections has enough breathing room, right? So if you see this example here on the left, there's space between the header professional experience and the first job, right? Looks like a full line skipped. That helps with white space. And so make sure that between each section or each job or whatever, it's the same amount of space. That keeps the document uniform, keeps it looking clean, and not, sloppy. One thing that I like is just hitting enter to create an extra space. If you feel like you want that space to be smaller, I would just highlight that line, an empty line, and make the font smaller. You could also, though, use automatic before and after paragraph spacing if you're advanced in Word. A lot of my clients are not that advanced, and so they're not sure, why is this not, because they don't understand the before and after paragraph spacing feature. So to make it easy for my clients, I just hit the space bar twice and make the font size in the empty row smaller or bigger. That's just a workaround. But if you're advanced and you understand how the before and after auto spacing works, feel free to do that. Okay. Here's an example of a resume that could use a little white space, right? So a lot of words here. This is five, excuse me, 5 lines. You don't want to go more than that for your description. And then you've got 4 bullets with a couple sub bullets, a lot of information here. So this is just no messing with the spacing or anything. And then if you wanted to highlight this, you can make more white space by going to, the home, then going into this little line thing here, go to line space options, and then change this. Make sure this is going to say multiple, and you could change this to 1.15, 1.09, right? So that's basically the spacing in between each line. So if you are, older, you may remember back in the day when we used to have to do double space in school, right? So in college, you had to write your papers and it had to be double space. That means basically a whole nother line of text can fit in between each line. Double space is a bit much for now. So 1 in 1/15 may be giving a little more space. So when you do that, look at how much more breathing room you get. You get a little bit more breathing room here. All right. So that's another way you could create white space in your document, so that it doesn't look too crammed. Okay. Fonts. Fonts are a lot more powerful than a lot of people realize. Um, this is the same sentence at the same size in different fonts. So if you're, have a book Antigua on your resume and you're feeling like, this is just too long, or I need 2 lines to just move up to make it 2 clean pages, maybe change the font. Callisto is a little bit smaller. It takes up a little bit less space than Book Antigua, or Gill Sans, or even Calibri will definitely take up less space. So play with your fonts if you want to kind of play with how the text lays out on the document. Another thing fonts are good for is it just changes the whole look and feel of the document. I like sans serif fonts, so the Century Gothics, the Arials, the Optimas, the Calibris, the Gill Sans are my go-tos because they just tend to be more modern. Um, the Book Antiquas and the Callistos and the Garamons are the serif fonts. They tend to look more busy on the page. So if you're feeling like it looks a little busy, change the font from a serif to a sans serif and see how it lays out. Okay. All right. Character spacing, another good way to create white space or play with white space. So this is just a bullet, normal spacing. And I'm like, I need this to fit on one line. You could condense the spacing. Would I recommend it for all of your whole document? No, because it looks, if you could tell, it looks really crammed. But if you really need that extra line, this is something else you could do. Again, this is kind of advanced, but you could condense the spacing and it kind of pulls the letters closer together so they're not taking up so much space. The example on the bottom for the client name, normal spacing, and you can expand the spacing to create more space between the letters, right? So the expanding of the letters is great for a modern look because, again, it creates more white space and it looks more modern and fresh. So that's another thing you could do. I love to put pretty much all the resumes I've written in the last 3 years or so have that expanded space as for the name, for sure. For sure. Shading. So shading is super duper easy. It is one of the most powerful and easiest ways to make a document pop. And it's the most safe way because it doesn't mess with ATS pretty much at all. So if you only wanted to use shading and, on your whole document, it could look really nice and it's safe for ATS. Okay. So these are just some of the examples of shading where your headline could be shaded. So this is just black text with like a nice gray box behind it. Remember what we said in the beginning about how to draw the eye, right? So save your shading for things that you want the reader to kind of like focus on. Your headline, any quotes, right? So I have put quotes in my clients' resumes to help them really kind of bring a different wow element to the resume. Because, the resume, you're talking about yourself, but if you pull someone else's quote about you into the resume, that's pretty powerful. So you may want to shade a quote, the key skills area. Maybe you have a section for career highlights. You can also put that in some shading as well. Section headings is definitely an easy way to kind of separate the page, separate the sections so that it's clean. And it looks really, really good. And again, it's safe for ATS. For shading, again, on the home, we'll go to this little thing right here. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the names of the menu here. And you go all the way down to borders and shading. So you'd have to highlight the text you want to shade and then follow these steps. And then if this box will pop up, you pick your color, right? So if you pick a darker color, like this dark blue here, you're going to want the font to be white or very light. You could also do a light shading and then make sure your color is dark for sure. All right. Text boxes. Now, text boxes are definitely dangerous for ATS. I do not use text boxes very much, if at all. But, if you know you're not going to use ATS or the information in the text box is not that important, go for it. But text boxes are a nice way to kind of highlight things that you want the reader to see. Another way to do this is through tables, which we'll talk about later as well, which is safer for ATS. But text boxes, you can do all type of things in Word. Change the shape, this fancy snazzy one here. You could even do something fancy like this to, pull out keywords, to maybe put quotes in there, whatever you want to call out. You could put a list of awards in a text box, whatever you want to call out and draw the reader to, you could use a text box for. You would just insert this little baby right here, draw your text box. You would draw it, and then you could change the when you draw it, the shape format menu will pop up. Then you will go here to pick the color, and you could change the shape as well over here. You pick the shape you want your text box to be. You really play and get funky with it. And then here is just an easy way to kind of pick some default designs in Word as well. Tables. I just briefly mentioned that tables are safer for ATS. You kind of want to be careful with tables. If you use a table, make sure you save your document in a text file, .txt, to see how the system is probably going to read the information. Because sometimes if you have too much going on with tables, like, if all of these were like little boxes, it may have a rough time figuring out what order to read them in. They're going to probably read across and then down and across, right? So just want to make sure the information you put in your table is not, that important in terms of the order, right? So just be careful with tables. but it's another very nice way to differentiate information on a page. I've used things like this in my client documents, but again, this information can be found in the document elsewhere as well. Um, so yeah, this is a table right here with a quote. This is a table right here with a list of awards, right? And I just played with the borders and the shading. So this one doesn't have any shading, but there's a left border on this table here. You see what I mean? So you get really creative. Again, I'm just throwing things out there so you can start to see things differently and start to open your mind about how much you could do with your resume. Insert the table, you just go to insert and then table. You pick, how big you want your table to be, crossing down. And then you go to table design and you could pick some default designs in here as well. And yeah, so graphs. Now, graphs are tricky. This is definitely advanced. If you don't know how to make a graph, I wouldn't even bother with it. I'm throwing it out here just in case I have some savvy folks listening that, oh, yeah, I can make a graph, right? Because graphs are not for everyone. With the graph, you want to make sure that you're saving your graph as an image so that it doesn't get too funky on the page. You'll see things like this in some of those modern resumes, which is cool. But um, you can make these graphs right in Word and Excel. So I'm not going to go deep into how to make a graph. I just want you to know that you can include a graph, and it's a great way to add visual to the text and showcase some numbers without the reader having to really read everything. Visual is great. People like visuals, so as long as it's easy to read, so you can see student retention went up, right? 2014 it was here, 15 here, 16 here. Great. Boom. That makes sense. And so you could definitely kind of get the picture quickly with a graph. For a graph, you want to insert, go to chart, pick the type of graph you want, and then Excel is going to pop up, right? So once you do that, you have to put your numbers in here. Again, I'm not going to go through this. It can get real messy and complicated. But again, if you know how to do this, great. If you don't, you may want to watch some YouTube before you try to deal with this graph thing. Once you pick the type of graph, you can definitely format it in different ways. And you can use this sidebar to really start to get specific with how you want it to lay out. Smart art. That's the name I was trying to remember earlier. Smart art is another cute way to just kind of put information on the page to make it more visual versus just text, 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 text. I would not put anything that is very important in the smart art. You want to save your smart art as an image so that the system doesn't try to read it as words and then it gets mumble jumbled into the rest of the document. So these are different little smart arts I have used in client resumes. I think you saw something like this, the green one in the example in the beginning. But yeah, these are all, just purely visual. So anything you want to stand out or any keywords you want them to see, you could definitely just throw it in a smart art, make it match the colors, and get fancy. For smart art, you would go to insert, smart art, and then pick the one you want. There's tons in here. And then you can format it however you see fit, right? So cycle. This one, you change the text and you can make these little gears, do all type of things with shadows and shading and transparency and gradients and all that. See? This is one I created. I made it like a little bling, like it's shiny. Bling. Put some keywords in here. Boom. This all works together, and this is basically like how I do my work. I define the process, we standardize the policies, and then it becomes efficient operational workflows. It all works together. You see the message, right? You see the message in this. Again, this is all strategic. You're not just doing this just to say, "Oh, this is cute. Let's throw some stuff in here." It needs to make sense and convey a message. All right. Graphics. Easy peasy. This person was global, right? So it says holding triple citizenship, U.S., Turks and Caicos Islands, and UK. Wow. So I put a little globe next to her name. Yeah, that's cute, simple, easy. It will not make or break any ATS. That's modern enough. This person was a teacher. Cute little apple, a little cheesy, but that's what teachers do. Sales manager, put a little rocket with the chart going up. This person he actually had this in his original resume. So I was like, oh, that's cute. Let me make it smaller and put it in the corner. Right? It's his certification, very prestigious certification. This is actually the horticulture resume that I mentioned before. I put a little plant in the corner, very subtle, but you see I use shading, made green the little accent. Very, very simple stuff, guys, but it looks nice. You see, it looks nice. Insert. Now, for graphics, you could go to insert online pictures, or you can go to Canva, find a graphic you like, and then pull it in. Okay, for here, if you do insert online pictures, write in Word. You could search and it'll pull from online, and you find things and you hit insert. And even when you get in here and you insert it, you can actually change the color. Did I show that? I did. So format picture, right? You highlight the picture, see it was red. Format picture. This little thing right here, and it'll give you some options in terms of recoloring that picture. Very, very simple, subtle things, guys. Can just definitely just make a world of difference. See, now it's blue. Boom. Lines. So lines are considered graphics as well. So I don't typically insert lines in this way. I use the borders for my lines, but this is another thing you could do to play with some things on your doc. Insert shape line. Okay, pick your color, your style, all that. Boom shakalaka. Lines are pretty straightforward. All right, pick your color, move it around, boom. Put it between, see, put it between. Now, for the lines that I do, I go to home, and this is like one of my most go-to things in Word is this little thing. I don't know the name of it, but you click on that and it go to borders and shading, and then you do your lines, right? So borders, this will show up as a line. So I pick my color, and then I pick the thickness of the line. Boom. You can also do some special effects with fonts. Again, very advanced. Don't get too carried away, because then your document gonna be looking crazy. I don't expect for you to incorporate all of these things. I'm giving a lot of different things and elements, and you can play with it and pick the ones you like, pick the things that you feel like will fit your resume, pick your style, and just keep it simple as possible. Okay, but you could definitely play with the words. So these are some of the things: shadow, outline, reflection, glow. You see, so shadow gives a little like shadow. Outline just makes a white space in the actual letter. Reflection, right? It's like a reflection, and glow just gives a nice fuzzy glow. That's it. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I do want to go and do a resume. Just again, like I said, in Word, designing it so you can start to see some of the elements that we talked about in action. Danette.
Okay, so I need to remove this from the stream, or you can get to Word.
Yeah, I can get to Word.
Oh,
I
okay,
think I
you're
have it. Yeah, I
good.
have it.
Okay.
Okay.
I love
So I
that.
have
Okay, yes, because I'm
I
taking notes too. Although, guys, I'm not writing anybody a resume. I don't do that anymore, but I'm taking notes. All right, let me get off screen.
did any questions come up? I felt like I needed to pause for questions, but then
I wanted them to post their questions. They were posting a bunch of comments, but guys, post some questions because
okay.
when Melanie is done, I'll give her some questions, and then I have 2 questions for her, and it's not the usual questions, so you guys should stick around for those questions. But drop your questions now. All right, cool, cool, cool. But I don't have
Okay.
any right now, Mel.
Okay, great. So what I want to do, I actually want to, Danette, and you pick. I would like to go to the Tory site, and I want you to pick a resume you like.
Oh,
We're gonna recreate it.
what's the website?
It's right here. You can't see this?
Oh, I can see it. Yeah. So pick one of those.
Yeah. Anything.
Anyone. All right. So you know which one I'm gonna pick? I'm gonna pick your the one,
Mine?
the last one. Yeah, that you won.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, oh, pick a different one. I want a winning
Yeah.
one. Well, pick the
Well,
winner
all of
before
these are
you.
winners. These are
All of
all
those are
winners.
winners. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So how about that blue?
This.
Yeah, Deborah. Deborah, first place.
Remember?
Yeah, let's do that.
You sure?
They got a lot going on. Too much.
I mean, I just want
Mm.
you to see more
I
options.
don't want nothing. Not that. That's too plain.
Yeah, because they introduced traditional like classic.
Yeah, I see the classics. Yeah, no classics because I think everybody know, and none with the side because I get a lot of those already. People have figured out how to do that. I think they may be doing it wrong, but you know the ones it's a template they're getting with it on the side.
Mm,
Oh, I like this one. Who is that? Julio?
this.
That's not bad. Julio. Oh,
Let's
someone
see
says,
what's
do you think
going
it's okay to
on.
use two accent colors?
Yes, it's fine. It just has to look balanced. So this to me has two. This has two
Mm-hmm.
accent colors, right? So this to me is the main color. This darker.
It's darker slate
I
color.
don't even know
So
what this
is
is.
that blue or gray?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. That's what I don't know what color it is, but this is the main color.
Mm-hmm.
This is an accent color. You see, the
Mm.
lighter, and then the red is the accent color.
That's like a
So that's
blue.
two accent colors, and it looks nice. It's not, it don't look crazy because they did it tastefully. Ooh, child, How long you trying to be here?
Okay,
Because
why
this
don't
is
you pick one? Pick one that's simple. Cause no, we're not gonna be here all
no,
night. I don't do that anymore, guys. We know that. Y'all haven't seen me in a year and a half. I don't do all nights. You pick one, Mel. Pick one and recreate it.
I
You can do that.
I like this. Okay,
I
I'll
like that one,
recreate.
but you know.
I'll recreate up until this point because
Okay, yeah,
it's
you
like
don't have to do the
I
whole
don't want
thing.
to. Yeah, I'll just do this part.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let me
All right.
move myself from the
So
screen.
we're gonna need a picture. All right. So this looks like some what do you call this building. So let's go. Let's get the picture first. I'm gonna move this stuff down real quick. So I have a raw resume file. It's not anything real. We're not going over content. This is just act like this is real information. Okay. So first, I'm going to insert a picture. I'm gonna just do a quick online search for buildings. Let's see what comes up. Oh, this looks good. Boom. We'll insert this. Boom. Okay. So we have our buildings. Now you can tell it's pretty big. We need to crop this down and resize it up. What you don't want to do is drag it over like this because then it gets all stretched and it's not proportionate. You never want to do that to a picture. You always want to pull from the corners to maintain the integrity of the ratios of the picture. Okay. You don't want distorted looking imagery. So what I'm gonna do first is just kind of crop this. I don't really want the sky too much. I'm gonna crop down to get more of the buildings. I'm gonna go with that. And then I'm gonna pull it in the corner so it fills the page. Boom. All right, I'm gonna go to wrap text and I'm gonna put this behind text so it's in the back and it can move freely across the page. All right, let's see what else she got going on. Or he, whoever this is, I'm sorry. All right, so we've got some shapes here, if you can tell. Now, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. So I'm not gonna deal with that. I don't know what that is. But we could definitely get this part. So I'm gonna add some shapes in here because it looks like this is transparent a little bit. Yeah. And I'm going to add some shapes. Insert shape. Looks like that slanted thing. Let's see, something like this. But it's kind of more like this, but then it's the other way, right? Which way is that? Oh no, it's going the other way. No, it's going the other way. I need to flip it this way. All right, cool. So we got the shape, and then she's got two of those. So I'm gonna put this in the corner. I'm probably gonna bring this up because I feel like it's taking up a lot of space. Bring this up. So we got that first one, and then we're gonna copy paste and put this next one next to it. All right, so it looks like this one is a little darker. So let's pick a nice color. This looks like a, let's see. Let's pick this type of color. See how that looks. Oh Lord, what did I do? Sorry. Shape fill, my bad. Okay, here we go. Yes, so that looks good. Let's do the same thing for that one. But then this one is a little bit darker. So we're still gonna do transparency. So I'm gonna double click the fill over here. We're going to do transparency, bring it, let's do 35. And then for this one, let's do, wait, which one was darker? That one was darker. Let's do 50. We're going to take the lines away. No line. This one, same thing, no line. Okay, so that's kind of similar. Then we got some text here. So this is just a line. So we're going to make that line real quick. We're going to insert shape. Let's do a square. It doesn't matter. Always resize it how we want. Let's make it red. Make it that darker red. Boom. Okay, that's kind of going to be by person's name. Okay, we're going to pull the client name up. Now, this is a way to keep ATS friendly. I could have put this in a text box, but that's not good for ATS. So we're going to try our best to keep it ATS as friendly as possible. It kind of looks like this has a filter, like a blue over it. Did I do anything? So this line is kind of matching this open space here, but we don't have this in our picture. So we may not be able to do that because the picture is different, but y'all are getting the gist, right? The point is to just show you that everything is in Word and it's all shapes and fonts, and that's all it is. So let's see. So we said fantastic. Let's get this. Oh, this is also needs to be behind. Make sure your images are always behind text so that you can grab the text if you need to. So this went under here. Then all that info went under here, and it was very small. The name was all caps. Looks maybe bold. Bring it up. Job title looks pretty. Boom. Different font, but I ain't worried about it. Again, you guys are getting the gist of what we're accomplishing here. Everything is done. Oops. Ugh. Everything is done in Word. Okay. Looks like there's a little bit of space, so I'm just gonna do this and bring the font down a little bit to make more space. I'm gonna bring this over closer to the name. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so I can grab this better. Okay, wait, yeah. I'm gonna get rid of the line on this. All right, okay, okay. All right. Okay, so that's like some this is a maybe a nice differentiating subtitle. That's what that's what kind of this is. So we're going to add a shape. We're going to add this same shape. It does have that slant, but we're going to make it skinnier. See how it stops there? Bring that all the way back. Bring this up a little bit. Oh, we need to make that a little smaller. Play with our line shapes. Our line sizes, I mean. I'm gonna bring that down. I'm gonna move this over. We're gonna pull this over. We're gonna pull this over. And then we're gonna make that our other accent color, which we didn't really pick, but whatever. We're gonna just pick a random color that kind of goes. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to use this to pick a color from our image. So I'm gonna use this window color. Ooh, okay. Not bad. Not bad. Let's make this white. Oh, she's got some texture and some shapes. Y'all peeping this little circle thing right here? Yeah, I'm sorry if this was a male or female. I don't know. I'm saying she, but it may be a guy. But, the colors are a little off, but you get the gist. Right? We get the gist. So we're going to make a box, insert another shape. Right? We're going to match that to this. We're going to do no lines. To send that to the back. Behind text. Okay, this could serve as our other little header, whatever. All right, some words in there. Then we're going, we can make this a little bit smaller. Shape, bring this. Let's bring this font down and make the spacing proper. Or we could just do something like this. Where we can also do that. Okay. See? Different ways. So this was, I don't know if y'all remember from the presentation, but I said you could use the before and after paragraph spacing as well to do stuff. So that's what I use for that. And then we're going to do another one, much smaller, right under. And we're going to make that one red. Shape format. Boom. Okay. Again, the colors are not hitting, but you get the gist of how this was done. Okay, so now we're going to make another box. This serves as our our summary paragraph, and we're gonna make this the same color as this, which this is the same color as this. It's just not transparent, right? So we're gonna go back, shape film. I think it was this color. No, what the heck? It was none. Was it this? Is that the color I used for this? Yeah, I guess it was. That's really bright. I'm gonna bring that down. I'm gonna bring that down in transparency just because it's a little bright compared to the muted version of it. Um, yeah, that looks better. It matches better. That's it. I'm gonna stop there. Okay, so you get the gist that everything that was done in here can be done in Word. It's all just shapes and colors, and the font is still there. ATS can still read the document because it's still words on a page. Okay, so yeah, net.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Mel. All right. So, guys, if you have questions, drop questions. Awesome. Thanks so much. I have a lot of compliments in the chats, in all the chats. I'm going to go ahead and start my questions because I know, Melanie has a whole family and it's a school night. Uh, so I'm going to start my two questions. And, guys, if you have questions, I'll bring them in, but let me know, come jump in. All right. So my first question, Mel, is now this one is basic. Um,
Hold on, net. Hold on.
mhm.
I can't find you.
You can't find me?
No. Am I still
What you mean?
sharing screen or did it stop?
No, you're not sharing screen.
Okay, let
I
me.
know I don't like StreamYard. I like Zoom better. Um, when you say you can't find
I
me
can't
on
find the
LinkedIn?
StreamYard. I can't find the StreamYard thing so I can look at you. Oh, here you go.
Oh,
I got
okay.
you. Oh.
All right. Um, Oh, I like this. This is a comment. I've been so intimidated by formatting a resume, and this really helps simplify this for me. Thanks, Melanie. I'm telling you now, what people don't realize is if you take this presentation, and now I can't remember who all did resumes because Melanie didn't do resume. But if you take this presentation, Crystal did resumes, and two other people did resumes. Just go on our YouTube channel, our YouTube, and find those resume presentations. But Crystal Williams did one, and two other people did. You take that. Oh gosh, what's her name? Melanie from
Was it
Indiana.
Ebony?
What's Ebony's last? No, Ebony didn't do
No.
do.
Oh.
She didn't do one. We never got together. But it's the young lady who she has twins like you. The right teak. Ah,
Alana.
Alana did. So if you look at Alana's presentation and then you go ahead and you look at Crystal Williams presentation here on resumes, and you take this formatting from Mel, and then you take that salary negotiation, you just saved yourself $2,500. Okay, hands down. Now these resume writers might be coming from Melanie because she just showed y'all some real stuff. Okay, like yes, so you would save yourself a whole lot of money, and your resume would get past ATS, and it would get in the hands of the right people. So I'm gonna leave that. Oh, and then I'll tell you this. So I posted up yesterday, maybe, that someone contacted me and told me that they just got a promotion and negotiated an 18% salary increase. So I blacked out, but she pretty much was telling me, you know what, your lessons didn't fall on deaf ears. Well, those lessons weren't just my lessons. That was largely Melanie, right? in her presentation here, because the first thing I always send everybody when it's time for them to talk about this salary negotiation is, let me send you the link to Mel's presentation, go on, watch it, and then we could talk, right? Because I'm not going to go ahead and tell you nothing that she's already said in the presentation. You got some questions about what she said, then we can talk about it. So that person was talking about me and Melanie, but primarily Melanie. Okay, so she got her 18% salary increase. All right, so my question is, the first one, what is it? Or search Corona Days group. Yes, you're right. You can search the Corona Days group. This is true, because all the presentations are in there. Y'all know I'm not tech savvy. Okay, so all right, what advice do you have, or where will you direct people for resources? Like, we all been working at Word forever, but you just showed us so many stuff, so many just tricks and tips that we just don't know. Like, I myself, I write resumes. No, I can't write resumes. Do not contact me for a resume. That Danette does not live here anymore. Okay. Um, and mine are quite classic. They get it done. People get the jobs. My federal resumes, they're a federal resume, which is a classic federal resume. You can't have many bells. You can't have any bells and whistles on a federal resume. And so my resumes pretty much get the job done when it's content. My content is good. But if they're trying to stick out in a crowd, I'm not that person for you, right? So where would you direct people to go to learn some of the things that you went over?
YouTube University
Okay, all right, y'all young people, y'all know I don't do YouTube
all day.
University, but y'all.
YouTube University, YouTube. How to blah 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 in Word.
All right, y'all heard it. YouTube University, guys, get on it. Get on it. All right, YouTube University. All right, cool, cool, cool. Because, oh, and then the other thing about just that is, all right, so what about when I PDF these things? Are they always going to go over in PDF?
So it depends on the system. Some
Okay.
systems, I've seen some recruiters say, do not send a PDF. And some people
Hmm.
say, make sure you send a
Send a
PDF.
PDF.
So
Yeah.
it depends, child. I can't write for ATS because there's
Hmm.
too many. There's like 300 different ATS systems out
Yes,
there.
this is true.
They're all work different. They're all set up different. They all have different parameters. They have different preferences for HR decided they want this, that, and the other thing. You don't know what you're gonna get. So
Hmm.
you just gotta write for humans. You know what I
Right for
mean? You gotta write for
humans.
humans.
Yeah,
You gotta
I like
follow
that.
up and not just depend on submitting because you don't know what you're gonna get. And I think that's why a lot of people tend to just do black and white because they're so scared because they don't know what you're gonna
Hmm.
get. But I
Yeah.
will say, like, for the most part, these systems are definitely advancing. And if the company is progressive, they should have a more advanced system.
Hmm.
So if you're looking at a big company, a Coca-Cola, Nike, that type of place, their systems are going to be more sophisticated. You're looking
Yeah.
at small mom and pop,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
it is true, guys. Melanie said in the beginning, even if the recruiter, if it's not, the resume really isn't getting through the ATS, you can get it out, because I've had to do that multiple times. So what would happen is, the applicant tracking system is spitting over to me. I don't want to give a lot of information, but it's giving me the information from the resume that I said I wanted that's important. Okay. Um, and sometimes we call those knockout questions. My non-negotiables is what is coming out of that ATS to me. And sometimes it'll come out and it's jumbled and it's not, nothing is there. And then I just go and click and download the whole resume. So she's right. Okay. So it's not like it's just all or nothing. Okay.
Right.
So I've had that happen multiple times, especially when I was working internationally and people are sending all different kinds of CVs on all different kinds of everything.
Mhm.
So we can access the resume. I might not want to because I got 1,000 of them, but I could if yeah. So okay, my last question, and I love, yes. Let me put this up, the right for humans. I like that. So, uh, it's been so much going on since March 2020, when this pandemic started. And, you know, um, so much has happened. Great resignation. Now they said it's going to be the great termination. And all kind of stuff. So many people have decided that they were not going to work traditionally, or they changed whole industries, or I'm now um, an entrepreneur. What advice and or trends have you seen? Now, let's just say, what advice do you have for folks who they want to do some major changes, either changing industry, or I want to go from being a W-2 to self-employed and in a whole new field, and because branding is a thing of yours, that's one of your one of your areas of expertise, that calls for rebranding, right? So do you have some basics that you could share with us about that?
Yes. So for rebranding, you really first of all have to know exactly what you want. That clarity is so important because that will dictate how you approach everything else. How you what you include on the resume, what you highlight on the resume, how you present yourself in the interview, the type of companies you're targeting, type of roles you want, your salary. It drives everything. So you got to first know exactly what you want. I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
but they don't know
Yeah.
what they want to do, or
Mhm.
and then once you figure out what that is, it's a matter of really diving, like going shoulders deep in that industry. Like for me, when I first started with resume writing, I just was low key obsessed with resume writing. I bought books. I stalked people's websites. I, followed this person, that person. I stalked the Tory page. I just wanted to learn all there was to learn about the industry that I was interested in moving into. And so I think a lot of people don't do that part either. They just kind of
Yeah.
like feel like things are just going to come to them. But the more you learn about the industry, the more confident you become in talking about what you want to be doing or the new type of role, and that's the verbiage, all the things. And then also the people in that industry, you want to start, talking to them.
Connecting.
Hey, I'm looking to get
Mhm.
into your industry. Can you talk to me 5 minutes? I'll buy you coffee, blah, blah. You can't be scared to kind of step out and talk and make it about them because people like to help and they like to talk about themselves. So if you approach somebody that's doing what you want to be doing and say, hey, I see you're doing something I'm very interested in doing. I would love to learn more about your journey and how you got to where you are. Can I buy you coffee over Zoom? Or if they're local, can I meet you somewhere in for lunch or something? If they have the time, they're probably going to be willing to do it because they're going to be able to talk all about
Mhm.
themselves and you're going to learn. And you get to ask questions and start building a relationship. And then you do that with enough people, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I know someone," and eventually you'll start to get in to what you want to be getting
Mhm.
into.
Yeah, y'all know it's getting late. I think bedtime is what,
Yeah.
8:30. All right. Okay. I know. All right, guys. So I don't have any questions. Let me just check on the other one. I don't have any questions. I just have comments, but that's
Mhm.
okay. Uh, I am so happy that we did this, even though I'm rusty at this. It's been a year and a half. I can't believe it. Um, but I'm happy to see your smiling face, Melanie, even though I know you got a long night ahead of you with your little ones. And I'm just happy that we were able to sit down and do this. CDPD is back, guys, but we're not going to be like we were before, but we are going to continue to bring you some industry experts who have great insight and who can add great value to your journey, wherever that journey is taking you. People who are catching this on a replay, please leave a comment. Reach out to Melanie if you are not connected with her on LinkedIn. Go on and connect with her. But you can't buy services from her because she don't do that. Okay, she could direct you to a whole bunch of her proteges who do that. So I'm also honored that she came and led this presentation because she herself has rebranded and it's a whole. She's doing something else, and you can learn about that by stalking her. Okay. Uh,
Don't
so
talk to me.
I am going to tell you guys, thank you all for coming out. I love you. Good night.